participants here. I am so glad that you're joining me. I am Dr. Sarah Larson. If this is the first time that you're coming on, you are joining a party, an online party that we're having for the new moon. And this party is really to give birth to the glorious parts of you that are lucky, right? And prepared. I love what Oprah Winfrey says. Oprah Winfrey's like, I don't believe in luck. I believe it's really, truly being prepared. I'm paraphrasing her now, but where opportunity meets preparation. And so we've got an opportunity right now, and the opportunity is this glorious new moon. The new moon energy, and the new moon's been talked about in the Egyptian temple walls. New moons are talked about in the Vedas. There are actually now a great deal of research on how the moon affects us in science. And today, what we're going to go through, hopefully very, very quickly, is this understanding of who you are and how you fit into the cosmos, how you fit into the glorious story that's constantly being told in Egypt, in India, in Peru, in all of Cancun, all of these sacred places. There are details of how we function best left all over the place. And new moon and you being able to accomplish what you're here to accomplish. The new moon is every month an opportunity for you to link up your natural resources with the earth and the moon's resources. And the moon and the way that we spiral through the galaxy, we're following the sun, we're creating spirals. And so one part is going to be you understanding you. The second part is this activation and initiation and frequency transfer that can happen. And then the third part, we're going to talk about an ongoing group experience that we've created, Miracle Makers Academy, and this opportunity to come on as a lifetime member is at the end of this. On every level, this is for you to understand you and to create opportunity plus preparation equals luck. In the words that Oprah Winfrey shares. And if you're part of Miracle Makers Academy already, I'm so glad you're here. If you've never heard of me before, you're going to know a lot about me at the end. And you're going to know a lot about everybody that's part of Miracle Makers. But the thing that you're going to get the most of is an understanding of you on a deeper level. You don't have to take notes because this is being recorded, and this recording is going to be shared on YouTube. Our goal eventually is to have 500,000 people see this video. And so if there is something you don't want 500,000 people knowing about you, just so you know, it's being recorded. And this is the time to really check in with that. You can send a text. You can use the chat to share, and it won't be as obvious. But the goal here is for our global family of miracle makers to get to know themselves. And so I'm going to start by sharing this. I just realized that I haven't brought it up on the back end yet. the pages that I want to share with you. And you will be able to see this, what we're working on, this page, this video, and it will continue to be upgraded. What that means is when you check back on the pages that I'm sharing with you, whenever you see this video or whether you see this live, if you check back, there will be the latest links on all of the gifts being offered here. So what are some of the gifts being offered? One is the latest science and understanding. And so you'll have access to being able to see everything that's being shared with you on this page, which is called Get Lucky in 2019, New Moon Activation. So you'll have the opportunity to see all the things that we're adding. So I'm hoping that you will, every time you want to get lucky, every time you want to experience luck, you will come back to this page and get more of this understanding. It's something that we're going to add to on a regular basis. Get Lucky in 2019. This is our page for this new moon ceremony, which is happening today, 11/11. And as you're experiencing this, I would love for you to participate as if you're on an adventure. When you go into a new city or a new place, you look at some of the store windows and you go in. And other places you're like, I'm not even interested in that right now. And the longer you stay in town, the more you're able to participate. This is so beautiful. But so try everything on. What is meant for you, hold on to. What isn't meant for you, just take a look at and leave behind, because everything is energy. And if you know how to align your energy, you know how to accomplish anything. And this is why we created Miracle Makers Academy. I believe that if you have all the resources, everything on the planet that is available for you, mostly your inner resources, there is nothing you cannot do, be, or have. And we're going to have examples of miracle makers here. We love it when you thrive. This is a community created for generating results within you. And the result that we're going for is that you winning. You winning is the universe winning. We want you to have it all. The key part for the universe, the key part for you is to really believe down in the core of everything that you are, that the universe wants you to have it all. You have it all. You just have to align yourself with your natural energy source and link that with divine energy source. And it's really important as we're going on this journey together. It's so important to realize the path that isn't a straight line. This path to divine energy source, being your source, it's a spiral that you continually come back to things you thought you understood and see deeper truths. So every time you are able to really, really be participating in a ceremony, you will feel a little bit dizzy, a little bit like, wow, I'm feeling a little bit lost in this conversation. It's a beautiful gift because the initiation, the activation is a spiraling, it's a vortex energy. And if you tune out and tune into your childhood or tune into a future moment, that's okay. It's part of the process. The spiraling is part of this. And I'm going to start with a legend. I love Morgan Freeman. I love what he's sharing and what he's coming up with. If you see it differently, function that way. Follow your own muse always. It's so important that these words, these next words, those words were said by Morgan Freeman. These next words are said by Krishna Das. The sun doesn't try to make a flower grow. It just shines. The sun is just shining onto the earth, and the earth is creating all of this life with all of the elements. It's rotating. Trees and plants move to get more sunlight, or they push deeper into the ground to receive more nutrients from the ground. Plants, trees, the water even goes against gravity to nourish them. And so you've got to understand that if you see things differently, you've got to function that way. You've got to follow your own muse. And this is also, the moon doesn't try to be the sun. It reflects the sunshine that it reflects, it points to where the sun always is. And so within yourself, you've got to notice what your sun is, what your sunshine is, what lights you up, and you must align yourself with those elements. And this is why you must work with someone who can point out what is different in you. It's amazing because you really can't see yourself. And Morgan Freeman talks about all of the coaches, all of the people that he has. But if you get who he is, he started in 1937, really understanding that he played God in Bruce Almighty. And there is nothing that this man cannot do. But born in 1937, the possibilities for his life wasn't even equal rights at that time. And it's so important. I love highlighting his upcoming movie, Angel Has Fallen. He was born, again, it's really, really beautiful, June 1st, 1937. And it just hit me that my husband was born June 1st, 1937. Not 1937, but 1969. That's so interesting that Morgan Freeman was my choice of a person to bring on to highlight. And for me, this is where I started. This little girl, village girl, there's an image up of me on this page, which is the Get Lucky page on Dr. Sarah Larson, Get Lucky in 2019. My mom is barely 15 years older than me, barely, and a village girl. And right now, this village girl that's speaking to you is being able to say what I need to say. And in service to God, as I was downstairs preparing for this, I woke up around 1 o'clock in the morning to get ready. And the energy of opening the directions at the right time, the energy of knowing how everything works came from me being this little village girl, communicating with my grandmother. And again, in the village, girls my age weren't educated. Girls my mom's age had to fight to get educated. And when I saw a woman walk in, I started sharing with my grandmother, oh my gosh, I see all of her light. And I started speaking mostly in full sentences. And right now, the largest project that Miracle Makers is working on is to help build a hospital and a medical school in the village that my grandfather was born in. And we've already built a school, and we've already built a lot of children and families getting educated in that village. That was my start. That was my beginning. The area that I started in, it's the vortex energy. I'm able to go back and give to that. And I didn't even know that it meant that much to me. I might have to turn off my other computers in this room. Excuse me just for a second. Every phone is probably going to start going off. It's so funny. This part of the most local project that I'm working on, that Miracle Makers are working on, is a horse rescue, feeding and clothing the homeless in Santa Monica. Why is this important for you? Why is it important for you to hear this as we're talking about getting lucky, as we're talking about initiating and activating? Well, there is no way I could have done this without knowing about the elements, about knowing what to do, when to do it, and to trust and follow. And it's so beautiful because what you're seeing here is me standing next to the founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, the founder of Unite for Good, and the amazing actor Andrew Steele, who's going to start in the movie about the founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, the creator of that, the ones that get people to go to Disneyland, or the last wishes. And it's helped so many kids all over the world. For you to be able to do that, you've got to do what exactly? For you to be the soul that you're here to be. How old is your soul? How old is your soul? And your soul is all yours. It's a part of the spark that started from the very beginning of you. The oldest part of you is as old as the universe. Like all of the cosmos is what I mean by the universe. I mean the entire everything that has been created. And what telescopes and scientists are telling us is that this universe, this is our intergalactic cosmos, everything that exists is expanding. It's expanding. There's more being created. And so the furthest reaches of the universe are still being created. The cosmos, the extent of the furthest you can imagine, it's still growing. And you're connected at the core to the oldest part. And the youngest part of your soul was just recreated in this breath. This very breath, the youngest part of your soul. You are both as old as the oldest fragment. There's that old saying, so is above, so is below. And we've now seen this with how our body is made, with how our neurons, how blood flows in the body. It flows the same way that the stars and everything else flows. Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. This is really an important statement. This is why you are here. Some part of you already knows that our scientific power has outgrown our spiritual power, and you are guided. This is Martin Luther King's words. Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles and misguided men. The hope of a secure and livable world lives with a disciplined nonconformist who are those that are dedicated to justice and peace and brotherhood. And it's so, so important for each of us to fully understand that there is something so great about you that's leading you, that's causing you to come in. And in the past, this is again an understanding of Martin Luther King's words. Shallow understanding from the people of goodwill is more frustrating than the absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. And that's why our connections to family, our connections to our teachers, the mentors we've had before, when you have been misunderstood, it hurt really badly. And most of us were misunderstood by our parents and by the people that raised us. Shallow understandings, and they had goodwill towards us. And it was more frustrating and more to our own soul, a shut-off point. And today, this getting lucky in 2019, being ready for all that it offers, is to get a really deep understanding. And I want to walk us through all the things that we've said so far so that it lands for you really beautifully and makes a great deal of sense. Right now, more than ever, the path isn't straight. The path that you're going to take, it's a spiral, and you'll continually come back to the things you thought you understood and see a deeper truth. This is the truth of the words of Barry Gillespie. Morgan Freeman says, if you see it differently, you must function that way. Follow your own muse always. And the sun doesn't try to make flowers grow. It just shines. And so this activation, this getting lucky, this being ready is about you just shining. And then we come into, if someone like me, I didn't speak the language English, I didn't have all of the resources, can wind up helping and working with some of the most amazing people in the world, like you, like me, like some of the miracle makers you're going to meet. There isn't anything you cannot do. If a little village girl can do this, and you can do this. And the projects that stem from your heart. And when you hear Frank, the founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation story, you're going to be blown away. We can do no great things. We can only do great little things with the greatness within us. And I'm paraphrasing Martin Luther King there, but it's really doing everything that you do that's yours to do from your soul with greatness. It's really beautiful that your soul is all yours. What's yours to do, no one else can do. And it's so important that this next part we get into. I'm going to share the screen again here. See if I can bring this up. Here we go. And this is showing Martin Luther King's words. We may have come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. And it's so important. This is there is images of the earth floating around on the internet that show what the earth looked like in 1978 and what it may look like in 2066. And the reason that I say it may look like is because in all of my knowing, I know the people that Native American prophecies spoke about exist. The signs that were spoken about by the Essenes in Egypt, the signs written about by Nostradamus, the signs written about in all of these ancient texts, white buffaloes being born, condors and eagles flying together, all of these amazing prophecies, the polar shifts, things they could not have possibly known about, described to the detail. And in their knowing, they call and talk about a tribe of rainbow people that activated and initiated themselves and kept this dimension, this earth that we're on, green and lush and beautiful and moving forward. And so within every time you believe in miracles, every time you look at everything in your life as a miracle, you are building trust. And we've been taught to examine and see certain things as miracles and other things as it's a shame, too bad. We've got to really clearly try on the idea that Einstein talked about. Either everything in your life is a miracle, or everything in your life is not. It can't be either way. You're the bridge between that. You're the way that everything becomes a miracle. So my story of sharing where I came from and all of the challenges, when I trust that God created all of the experiences, I align my infant self, my child self, the parts of me that are ancient, that are still helping to pump my heart. The Chinese talk about stem cells in your heart. We finally found them. The Chinese called those stem cells immortality cells. But we now know in science there are cells that can turn into anything. These potential cells are the oldest cells in our body. And those oldest cells, the more you trust everything that's happened thus far, and the more you're able to initiate and activate those stem cells within you for the joy that you're here to make and to feel, the more that you can try new things, be on your own, listen to your deep inner knowing, the more you're able to really dive in to recreating the parts of your biology that recreate you. Every one of your beliefs that is not aligned with divine nature starts moving towards apoptosis or cell death. So today, and it's more than just the time we're going to spend here, because this is a process to really examine. You're initiating it. This is your initiative. This is the part, but for you to really commit to this, you've got to become able to see what your own thoughts are versus the thoughts that were planted, the thoughts that are not yours. You can let go of breath by breath, experience by experience. And the parts that are you, the autonomous, the real you will start to come back to life. And you don't have to go in and deeply search for them. They show up. The thoughts about your dad, the thoughts about your mom, the thoughts about the future. And when you catch yourself thinking those thoughts, you ask yourself, do I believe in miracles? Do I believe in miracles? Could that have been miraculous for me? Why is this thought coming up? What is this thought trying to give me? Everything spirals. It's so beautiful. And if you want to speed up what your soul is to do, your soul is going to get it done, whether it's in this physical body or the next form that it takes. We now see this with over 100 years worth of research in past life, people coming back into body, children being able to describe things that telescopes are only now getting to see. Children saying, this is the star system I came from. Amazing. For me, I've seen children read with their feet articles, handwritten notes, things that there was no way for them to see. But at the Parliament of World Religions, Chinese kids, it's amazing what's possible for you. Initiative. You've got to take the initiative. If you decide, wow, I'm going to light years myself into the future, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes of sitting down every day and noticing what the thoughts are that come up every day. And I'm going to use that time. And I ideally recommend at least 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, something happens in your brain to where if you can sit still and just be with your thoughts and notice them, you don't have to stop them, just notice them. After about 20 minutes, higher thoughts start coming in. The thoughts that can clean up those thoughts. Martin Luther King lived by, he said there's two kinds of laws. One law is a higher law, and one is man-made law. And if you've had a repetitive thought over and over again, and you go, all right, at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to sit for 20 minutes every day. Higher law comes in and cleans up all of the man-made junk, the stuff that wasn't you. That's initiative. That's taking your experiences and cultivating getting rid of all of the lower frequencies. And you and your body will find what makes you feel like yourself. It happens quickly, light years quickly. You're no longer stuck. And it seems so counterintuitive, but that's exactly what the new moon is. The new moon is natural law. And again, written about, it's considered a holy time. You rewrite all of your contracts. And we've got some pretty amazing celestial things happening. Amazing gifts that are happening with the alignment. So the people that are ready to see the green earth, that are, prepared, and the opportunity, that's what shows up. That's luck. Again, the definition of luck. That's being ready for 2019. This is a great year. It's a great year literally for everyone that aligns themselves with natural law. You could call that natural law God. You could call it the universe. You could call it, there are so many names for it. You could call it love. Unconditional love. All conditions love. So it's funny to say, I hung out a few times with someone who said they were 3,000 years old. Did I believe him? Absolutely yes. Was he normal? Absolutely yes. Is he human? Is he invisible? He's got leathery, dark skin, and he's a little bit shorter than me. And if you could miss him so easily if he's standing next to a tree. He melts in. It's so amazing. Do I want the way that he loves, the way that whatever created us loves, because it knows all time, everything. When I loved like a 5-year-old versus like a 20-year-old versus like my current age, the love is so much deeper in just that short period of time. All conditions love. There is no role confusion. And in this conversation right now, there are things being transmitted. And we've got to sit down and write out a eulogy to our past self. This eulogy, no one else can do it for you. This dying to yourself, no one else can do that for you. It's so important that you really, really get into and write a eulogy. And because everything works in a spiral, if you do this in the next 24 hours, it's generally 72 hours from this point, but that would be 24 before now, 24 right now, and 24 in the future. If you can write a eulogy in the next 24 hours, and the eulogy, really, you are writing from your favorite person on the planet right now. What would they say about you? And at this point of, you can really write 2 eulogies if you choose to. The one that I wrote was one eulogy of, again, if I died today, what would they all say about me? And then on the flip side of that, my goal is to live long enough to get this mission done. And this mission of, and I experienced, I've met someone 3,000 years old, so I wrote my eulogy from his eyes being 3,000 years old. What have I accomplished? I had my daughter write one, meaning in my visions, in my imagination, I had my daughter write a eulogy about all that I'd accomplished in the 3,000 years. I had my son write it out. I had my husband, and again, it's me writing it. And something got birthed in me when I wrote that eulogy from being 3,000 plus years old. What did the community say about me? Who in the community? And so I had a young kid that, of course, I haven't met yet, write about how hip and fun of a 3,000-year-old woman I was. This root chakra work, the letting the you, dying to yourself. You really write down the past. This root chakra work of your soul after 3,000 years old, that eulogy from my daughter, from my son, from my husband, from a leader in the community, from a young member in the community. That is, my soul survived. It thrived. It got to do it. I'm writing the sacred contracts forward. It's so beautiful to share a story. There was, when I was in Italy, and I was working with Contessa there, and we went on tour to Sicily, and we spend the day with her, and she teaches us how to cook these amazing recipes. It's so much fun. This Contessa showed us where they tie up chains, where when you come to shore were chains, and she talked about how the chains, it's extraordinary how these chains have all of those at sea were so beautiful in sharing what it felt like to connect with the quote unquote God of chains. And I finally understood what the language barrier, the ancient language, was trying to convey. Before there was a chain, there had to be energy and motion to get the first chain together to make that chain. Before there was even that, someone had to have the thought, I want a iron chain would be great for tying up a boat. Even before that thought, they had to have the spirit of the need for the chain, or the spirit of the chain. If chains were no longer useful, the spirit of the chain would no longer exist until it was needed again. Everything gets created at least 4 times. It gets created in spirit. It gets created in a mental energy. It gets created in emotions, energy and motion. Then it stands physically. And from this Contessa, royalty, her sharing these ancient stories in her ancient language, I got that the building that I'm sitting in, there's a spirit to it. And the mental energy that first built it, it took energy. Someone wrote it down on paper. Then beautiful architects came together. Then they created this. So the new moon, and we're already in the work, we're already in the process. I can feel the shift happening collectively. The spirit of your soul, the one that took on this body, has been prayed for, has been asked for, came into being because it is needed, it's wanted. There is a love within you, a knowing, a part of you that's so extraordinary. So writing the eulogy. And so as we take a breath, as you do the commitment, as you do the work, it shows up. It's an amazing thing to fully realize. You are a beautiful, incredible, no one else can do what you're here to do. There's a birth of your soul. And people have talked about the stories of that. But it started when all of the universe, the one verse, everything started. And it's a bridge between the ancient and the furthest edges of the universe. The oldest part of you is your heart. And when your heart is connected, there is nothing you cannot do. It's called hysterical strength. Hysterical strength. What is hysterical strength? Hysterical strength is being able to lift anything. It's so funny, I have to wait for all of these beings. It's so important. All of the ancient parts of you, I always see beings as right on the point, like you're hitting it on the head. Angels are getting their wings. What you're saying is true. So the oldest part of you is your heart, and your heart is connected so deeply to everything that matters to you. Your heart cannot tell your body a lie. If you're actually into, and sexual orientation is easy to really talk about, right? If you're really into one particular thing, if you're into guys, if you're into girls, if you're into both, your heart knows the truth. Your willingness to give yourself those experiences. So this part one, part two, writing a eulogy as if you died today, what would people say about you? The second part, writing the eulogy to your future self from the perspective of those that loved you. They would say how you made them feel. This third part of really getting in touch with your heart, with really knowing what you want to make or create. This third part is really writing down a list of things that bring you joy. This part of, and it's in the next 24 hours, it's ideal for me, and it changes. I love seeing my daughter as a child in the sunlight. But I realized if I hold the energy there always, so I've brought those images up to date for myself. It's of her riding a horse now, of her jumping, of what brings her joy. With my son on his baseball team, a new list of what brings me joy in the current moment. This third thing, no one else can connect you to your own joy. You give yourself the belief that it's someone else, but it's always you. What brings you joy? What makes you feel better? And gosh, heartache is the hardest thing on the planet. It hurts to be misunderstood. And if your body is in pain, or if you're going through something, it's because you've got a shallow understanding of yourself. And the only way that it's going to get better is from doing the work of loving yourself deeply and listening to every part of yourself. So what is number 4? This initiation, this activation that's happening. This part of, you've got to get around music and sing that music that you love. And again, this is something I do in a full day experience with you. We wake you up. We do these on retreats. You get movement. You get your heart woken up. You get your throat activated. We do this, or some form of what it is for you, every week in the Miracle Makers Academy. It gets done for you with a group. That exact thing that you need to be focused on for yourself, to know yourself so you won't misunderstand yourself. So you've written out the eulogies. You've written out a bliss list. Now, this next part of turning on music and sound and movement. Turning on music, sound, and movement, and activating your body in that. After, and in the next 24 hours, after you're all lit up and your heart is thriving and you're full of joy, you immerse yourself in water. So whatever parts of you are alive and can move, you move them. And literally, a woman came out of her wheelchair in my practice. Multiple people have done this. They were older. They'd studied with Paramahansa Yogananda. Beautiful, amazing souls. Some young souls as well. But they could only like move their eyes. They could move their head. And this beautiful lady already transitioned. She transitioned from pneumonia, sadness. Pneumonia holds sadness in the lungs. Her granddaughter came to visit her in the nursing home that she was in, and they had a misunderstanding. And it was something she just couldn't recover from. If she would have had a new moon ceremony and dipped herself into a bathtub after moving all the parts of her that move to music that she loves, she may have, of her own free will, continued. So taking a really sacred bath, jumping in the water, it's the baptism. It's a representational rebirth done at the new moon. And then when you come out of that bath in the next 24 hours, it's great to throw salts. It's great to bring your favorite crystals. It's great to just feel joy, light candles. And when you come out of that, you dry yourself off, you're by yourself, you turn on more music, and you move all the parts of you that can move. You dance, you shake. And then you get back to being still. And you allow your body to fully catch the vision. You catch the vision of what is coming for you, not a preconceived idea. So you've had this explosion of joy because you've created it. And then you sit and you visualize and you bring in your own new you. You give birth to you. You're reborn. And then you take all of the experience from top to bottom. And we're going to do the meditation, this next meditation. I'm going to separate it out and record it separately. You do this next meditation afterwards. And again, you can do it right now. It's so beautiful because you can't overdo the good stuff like this. The meditation, the giving to yourself, the creation. And the other thing is, no one else can do it for you.